Okay, he hear this, then my sister, wear out shoes. She comes down. Okay, we all looked not nice. Then he hear a third. So he said, what's going on here? 3? I say to him, I don't pay attention what he said. I say to him, is it possible you should give us something to eat? So he said like this, listen, once I go into the house, I call the gendarmerie, and you be arrested momentarily. I am giving you a chance. In 2 minutes, you should be out of the village. And that's it. So we are 3 girls on the highway. We don't know where we're going even. And the snow starts coming down slowly. We arrived, we walked through a town. A woman called us in. We thought, we still believed maybe it's something. But it took only 2 minutes. She already called the headquarters. We was taken to the headquarters, all 3. The first, the language was very loud. The head from the Gestapo had their headquarters. She screamed at us, we all looked the same. Blanket, shaven hair. You are spies, you are spies. This, verfluchte, for this, okay. Oh, so, okay, we're sitting there on the steps, and he, meanwhile, we don't know what he's thinking to do with us, because the other transport is already next village. So we are already, this was Sunday we didn't march. So my sister speaks German, and she was speaking to him, whatever, that we are not spies, and that she had trouble walking so fast, so we walk a little slower. Then comes out a blonde woman and brings us a hot drink with a sandwich, eat for each. So I say, you know what, Golda? They're giving us already something. Probably they have something in mind. This must be it. So she says to me, not necessarily so.
What happened?
No. Then it came a guy, a soldier from the local police with a rifle. And we don't know what orders he had. We know nothing. He tell us to go with him. We go out of the city, we're going on the road toward the other village. It's miles. I tried to make conversation, but the guy didn't talk. Boy, I say, it doesn't work, nothing. It's bitter. Maybe he's going to finish us up with a rifle in the woods. We don't know nothing. Then, somehow, I don't know how, I had 4 cigarettes, because cigarettes was something very important then. And it happened that we found someplace a ring with a ruby. So we figured that it's in case when it's a really danger time, we try to save ourselves. He don't talk. I try to make conversation to go, oh, this is not a good sign. If he would only talk something, then I take out the 4 cigarettes and I give him the ring. And he started talking to me. So he said like this, keep going, you come now to this village, go into the Bürgermeister and tell him that you are a little behind because you couldn't, and he left us alone. So before you go into the Bürgermeister, there are a lot of Polish, not Jewish, they have everything. They go first in to see them, They lived there comfortable in the barracks, but they have a lot of food, and this was Sunday. So he said, go in there, and first you get something. So we went in, and they gave us. They was like also prisoners of war, men, women, but they had everything enough. They gave us, we ate something. And then we found out where the Burgermeister is. Maybe he had a call already or what. And then we was combined with the group. And pretty soon, they put us again in kettles. And this...
How many days were you on the cattle trains?
The kettles a few days, maybe 3 or 4 days, I don't know, with nothing. When we came out from the kettles, I did not recognize nobody. The only thing it showed on the face, the nose. There was a mark of death on the nose. I don't know how I looked, but I did not recognize people.
This was winter of 1945?
Yeah, February, middle, end February. So they tell us to get out. We wasn't used to the light no more. And we walking, they tell us to walk. We coming to Bergen-Belsen. We didn't know. We see a picture. What we saw, skeletons, men dragging dead bodies. And we start to cry. We should have escaped. We had maybe a chance. This is it. Okay. Then they take us to the barracks, women's, different area.
What did it smell like?
And they put us in a barrack. A lot of people together, a lot, on the floor. And there, after a few days, they cut off the water. Like, it was before the liberation. We was there a while. So the people there didn't go to work really. They grab a few people to dig graves or what, because when we came, the stench was in the air. They wanted to burn, but then it came orders. The war was finishing. They should close the crematorium.
Did you know what the crematoriums were?
So they buried the people. So they grabbed girls who still could walk. They should help dig. And the men threw in big, deep graves, bodies. It should not be no more to see when they come in.
Did you dig?
Okay, one time I had to go, so I went. And I saw this. How could I? And this SS man had with him a whip, and the wind then was a little cool still. And he went, and each time it came, went around, and each time it came this on the back. And I saw this whole thing. I couldn't tell it to nobody. Okay.
Was Golda with you?
Golda was in the barrack. This is very close to the liberation. So we getting cut off the bread, cut off the water. We getting 4 o'clock in the afternoon a spoon, which we owned a roasted can, a spoon, this you call a soup, swimming around a piece of beet. And if you was lucky, you had 2 pieces. And if not, you had nothing. Until 4 o'clock, we hesitated with my sister. I used to say, I don't know, if I go in the beginning, maybe I wouldn't even get 1 piece. Maybe I should wait, but I'm so hungry. So she said, okay, go. So I went, and I came back. There was 1 piece of beet. So I was so sad, and Golda says to me, you will see. If God help us, we survive the war. I make such good things we're gonna eat. Don't cry. Okay.
And when did the Germans leave?
One day, every day, some girls went to the kitchen. We had gates to bring kettles like garbage cans with watery coffee, whatever you call it. Who could get anything there? Everybody around. When we was on after the appel started, the work was 4 o'clock. Then we stay a couple of hours, 4 hours. And who couldn't stay, they'd grab you into the lazaret, make-believe hospital. Whoever went in there never came out alive. Now Golda had typhus, starting. I could do nothing for her. The only thing I could do was when she said to me, I was with her, oh, it's coming. I had an extra can and I helped her. This is the only thing I could do. It shows a person can save another person even with a rusty can in possession, but the heart has to be there. And I said, I am here, I am here. And then I spill out and I was okay. One day on the pill, the girls go for the watery cans, and they coming back and said the German ran away from the kitchen. And the war finished, they say it. We are here, we don't know what to think.
What happened next?
We didn't know what to do, what to think. We don't see yet people, nothing. A little later we see horses. The English came in first.
They liberated you?
Yeah. And then next day came the American. So meanwhile, we didn't even know that there was towers, all over towers, out, around. We didn't know. We was, so.
What happened from the towers?
There was those soldiers, the Hungarian, they still were shooting people after the liberation. And a lot of people were shot because they thought it's over. They went out to get something. Meanwhile, they were shooting.
Okay, why don't we take a break? That's after the shooting from the tower and the liberation.
Yeah. And there was chaos. This was the end of April, the 20-something April 1945. The war was over. And when we was told this, I saw my sister, something happened to her, she's going out. So the girls used to say, if you notice something unusual by a person, the first thing you should do is hit them. So she was like getting out of herself. So I started hitting her, and she came back. And then we embraced, and we couldn't talk. And then I said to her, I have a secret to tell you. And we went there on the field and lay each other's arms and crying, sobbing, without a word. And I say, you know, I have a secret to tell you, but I kept it from you. That we have to thank double to God that He let us live, because it happened such a thing. And I told her in a village, I went out once, because she said she's not going to get up to walk no more, and I bring her something. And then it happened, girls discover beets, and they start running. Anyway, they all ran quick back, because the news spread, and the Oberscharführer came. And somehow, I don't know how, I got stuck. But the fences in the next farm, next there, and the Hitlerjugend, the small boys were there, and they ran me, and I was already surrounded. Then they let know already the Oberstab, it was still early in the morning, and he said to me, come, die wirst erschossen werden. Okay. So, like he meant to say that they should all see what happens, you know. The girls found beads in the field, so they started.
What happened?
Yeah, so they started running. And I got stuck someplace. And also running, and I was surrounded with the Hitlerjugend, the small boys, 8, 10 years old. Okay. To describe how it feels, I felt my knees. Everything went to my knees, a weakness, and I knee down, and I knew that he speak Polish also, this guy, the Oberschapire, a gigantic guy. So I start talking in Polish. And I said to him, look, I am 18, and this is the first time I went out to get something. Please, I know you can do it, and don't do it. And I started begging him. I have a sister, and the whole time when I was speaking Polish, I knew he understand. So this was also not bad. And the whole time I did not think about me. I thought how helpless my sister will be without me. What's going to happen? I only worry for her. Meanwhile, he had with him a police stick and a gun and everything. So he said I should get up and I should run. So I didn't want to run. So he took this stick and he hit me a lot in the head. And then he pushed me and I walked slow. I didn't run. And meanwhile, all over the face was full of blood. And I'm coming back, and the woman looking already out, they say, you see, you shouldn't go no more, you see. So there was there for the ducks, a little dirty water. I took out a little grass. My sister was still in the barn. It was early. So I came in, and I lay down near her, and my heart is pounding. I don't say one word, because if I can't talk. We hear shots. It took me, we left in the village 3 women. The next, he didn't talk. A mother and a daughter. 15 years, I felt such a guilt. Maybe if he had my blood first, they wouldn't be the one. I felt such a guilt. So once I told a doctor that I went, that this bothers me a lot. So he said, listen, it shouldn't bother you. This is not you. You just try. If it happened this way, it's not, has nothing to do with you. Don't think this way. So he helped me a little bit not to feel such a guilt.
Where did you and your sister?
And then my sister was sick already, and we had to decide. So we separated the first time. American soldier took her in the ambulance, and I was left alone. And I felt lost. And I already also had the thing, and I sit in the barrack. Comes in a doctor and the woman there, and she gave me a stamp on the head. This meant that I am sick. And soon 2 American soldiers carried me to the ambulance, but I didn't know where my sister is. This was 2 days later. And what I remember only is that they did brush me with a brush, with soap, disinfect. And they put me in bed, and that's it. I fell asleep in April, and I got up in May. And a girl who's volunteered there in the temporary places where we was, in Bergen, This used to be the headquarters for the soldiers. So they make temporary hospitals. A girl comes over and she says to me, you survived the war. But I cannot, I am again a child. I need 2 people to walk me. I can't walk.
Did you find your sister?
And now the first question is, where is my sister? I don't know how to find it. It can be just 3 blocks, but how do I find it? And I'm so weak. And the girls, I met somebody from Naitan. She said to me, listen, don't undertake such a thing. You're gonna sit down in the middle, nobody will be there to take you and you can die. Wait a day or 2, wait. All right, I listen. I met somebody, I say, how is it possible for me to find it? Looks everything 100 miles, it was only a few blocks. How do I find, how is it possible? Who can tell me? She said, go over there, is an office. And there in the office was a girl. This was been organized. Whom they had on the list in the temporary hospitals, because tens of thousands of people never got up. It was terrible. There was no penicillin, and we couldn't eat. So anyway, I sit down with such a book, and I found my sister. Then I'm coming there slowly. I meet some people there walking, also volunteers, and I say, where is this the number, is this? So one, is there a woman, and she speaks so common, she says, so what? If she is on the list, you don't know what's going on? It doesn't mean she is alive. So I say, oh my God. How can she talk this way? So another girl, but she was also a volunteer, she takes me in the side and she said, what is your sister's name? And she held me by the hand, she said, I'm weak. I said, Golda. Sagt sie, don't worry. I take you to Golda, I know who she is. But one thing, listen, Golda was so sick, she had 2 different kinds of typhus. And last night was the crisis, and she's alive. But we have to be very careful because she's very weak. So she took me to the room, and the girls there who was sick, everybody was already having a relative or a friend, and they came out half decent, and Golda was the longest and the very most sick. They didn't even look. She didn't eat, she didn't drink. Okay. So this person, very nice character. She said, stay by the door. I call you. Let me go first. Because she is very weak. She went over and the girls start screaming, or they're still yet in bed, but they're out of the terrible thing. Golda, Golda, look who is here, Golda, Golda. She told me later, she didn't even pay attention what they're saying. But this woman came, a young person, she said, Golda, listen, Itta is here, okay? Slowly. And then she gave me a signal, I walk over. Not one word came out from us. We both was so weak, we couldn't talk. We lay and cry. And so this was the survival. And then they came the Red Cross to the hospital. And they asking everybody, where do you want to go? What do you want to do? So we decided that Sweden offered convalescence. So we decided to go with the train, then with a boat, whatever. We went to Sweden, and I stayed in Sweden 4 years. My sister stayed, she got married also with a Polish person, a Jewish person, and she dated 7 years. So she came to America 3 years after me. Because first, they considered very much the single people because they was afraid of intermarriage, which happened already. And the loneliness can bring to the worst. There is no family, there's no brother, there's nobody. So this is the first time I left my sister to America and came all alone here.
When did you arrive in America?
1949 in January.
How did you get here?
It was arranged through the joint distributors and Hayas. Everything was paid, and we came with a beautiful ship. The name was Gripsholm, brand new. They said it's a new ship.
What did you think of America when you got here?
First, we were so sick on the ship that I gave my word to myself. I never go on a ship again. Terrible. Anyway,
Did you arrive in New York?
I arrived in New York, yes.
Where did you go?
They took us, I was in Ellis Island also. Then they joined the distributors and they arranged, we came as a student, some of the girls.
Did you go to school here?
Yeah, I went there. So instead of, we learned English a little also. And I knew some English, 500 words when I arrived. I learned I got private, somebody to teach me a little.
Did you work here?
Here, I was not allowed to work. Anyway, after being here a short time, it was also Israel. So I was called and told they used to give me for a few dollars a week, they'd say $17 or something. I should have room to pay and food. They said like this, Israel is a new country and she needs people. They cannot support me. If I have who should support me, I can stay. Otherwise, they send me to Israel.
What did you do?
I thought that the earth is opened for me. I was very frightened. I was alone. And I just came when such horrible things to go to Israel, and I heard what's going on there, and I saw already people in Brooklyn. There's still Jewish people in this world. I thought the whole world is already finished. I started feeling a little ground, and now again, I said no. I will, if they said if I can survive, I said, okay, they don't give me. They gave me a dress, they gave me a coat, so that's it, I'm finished. And I had to be on my own.
What did you do?
Without money, I had no money. I worked 4 years, I helped my sister there.
When did you meet your husband?
What I did was I got some work. So I support myself a little.
Doing what?
Sewing. And then a half a year after I came, I married. I only was looking, I understood what's important for me. I didn't know. I thought this is the only most important thing.
What?
I was afraid to come in strange gardens. I wanted a good family. And I didn't understand that money is important, education is important, everything is important. One thing I knew, I can be happy with a piece of bread as long as I don't have roughness.
Why do you think you survived?
Well, not because I was better. That's why the whole year, all the years, there is this guilt, and you can really not fully enjoy. And my children would say to me, Ma, when you look back now, why you sometimes so unhappy? I say, I would like, but something doesn't let me. So I can't enjoy life fully, and then my husband, he was working very hard to
What-
support the children. They all went to yeshivas.
What did your husband do?
My husband learned how to be a butcher, and the people liked him. He was very polite, and he was happy that he was taking out a living, and I took over everything.
Was he from Poland?
Yes,
Was-
also from Poland.
Where was he during the war?
He was in hiding. Yeah. So anyway, it happened 57. My husband was still a man in the 50s, was discovered that he has Parkinson. He had to give up his work. Meanwhile, I went to school and became a secretary. Not big money, but better than nothing. And it was very scary. We went to more doctors. We couldn't believe it, what happened, but it was true. And these things progress. I took care. I did everything I could. And at the same time, I took care of bringing up the children.
How many children did you have?
I have 5 children.
What are their names? What are their names?
Names. The oldest is Rebecca, and the next is Yaakov, Arnold, Chaya, and Sharna. One daughter, Sharna, she is not married yet. She's a surgical nurse in Memorial Hospital. And we hope again miracles should happen.
Did you raise your children in a very religious home?
Yes. They went to yeshiva, and my children are better than me, which means the whole life was not in vain.
What did you teach your children about your experiences in Europe?
They got the education in school, private schools. In the house, my husband and me coming from the same Hasidic family. We already became a little more modern because everything was so limited. But we still had to grow also. We grew together with the children.
What did you teach them about the Holocaust?
We didn't, my husband never talked. They couldn't get out nothing from him. And I myself, I felt pity. Why should I hurt my children? They should know from such horrors. Sometimes. But later on, in high school, they got books, which I couldn't read even. Elie Wiesel and others. So they got dipped in also. We tried to save them a little bit in these things. And later they start singing. Already in yeshiva they teach you when you eat. It's like songs. But it's really like, with this song you thank God for everything, but it's very nice.
Have you had any contact with any people from your hometown in Poland?
I am now in contact the whole time. In my town, in the same street, the same school, I was friend with her sister, and now she is left, so we're talking on the telephone.
What do you hope that people will learn from your experiences and from this tape?
A person must have something fundamental to survive this world. If you don't have religion and strong beliefs, you have no chance, even in America. I had to find strength when the beginning I still could help out my children. In the Chumash, I found my strength. I didn't know where to look for it. It says, whoever sow with tears gathers with happiness. And I keep going. I constantly needed support from some place. So wherever a door opened, a doctor and this, wherever I tried to get help. But my husband never wanted to be helped, and people was very nice to us, especially the doctors. They saw we raising children, and it's so hard. My husband couldn't help me nothing because he came home late at night, and I had to do the whole job by myself.
Do you think it could happen again?
It can happen. And we must not forget one thing. This nation didn't just follow. They was born with this blood. And we must never forget.
Why don't we pause here?
I couldn't write all these years, almost half a century, about this thing. I wanted, but it couldn't come out. And November 95, somehow, it came, and I was able to put it in a form of a poem. I gave it a name, Images, Living Monuments. We are free, we survive, echo from a distance, holding on to the last string of love. We can still debate and decide, trying to save my sister. We must make up our mind before it's too late to separate. I carry her to the front of the barracks, where ambulances are filling up. Schwester, Schwester, I say to the American soldier. I am pushed in the chaos, back and forth. Finally, I'm in the front again. The American soldier take my dear sister off my hands, and we must separate. Now I feel sick myself, sitting in the barrack. When I look outside, I see a mountain of young women dead, growing higher. This mountain I can never erase. The most horrible scenery which stays forever, from which it's hard to escape. I am sitting down on the floor and crying, bitter thoughts racing my mind. A woman doctor come in and put a stamp on my forehead. And soon 2 soldiers came in, removed all, addressed in Auschwitz, and carried me to the ambulance, tried to save another soul.
Thank you.
Now this is also one I was anxious to write and I couldn't, so this is the second one what also came out recently in 1994. I remember August 1945. Auschwitz, Birkenau. I saw people marching by the barracks. Each time I look out in the day, hundreds, like a column, moving quietly in rows of 5. A whole day long, where are those people going? Later I found out, to eternity. I could not think clearly then because of hunger and fear for the day I asked someone but got no reply. This was Birkenau, I didn't know. Each day new selections. After many years I found out the chimney smoke was in the air. I was close and yet came out almost in the bottom of the pit. How impossible a dream. Half a century went by. After all this time, I am just wonder I am here, even for another while.
Thank you. You describe for us the picture?
This picture is taken of me in convalescent home in Sweden after we left Germany, Bergen, from the hospital straight. We arrived in convalescent home in Bago, the name, This is my first picture. This is my sister Golda, who survived together. And this is Sweden, 1946. This is Itta Warshavchik, my husband, the picture after the war. This picture is the wedding picture of me and Eli, September 11, 1949, in America. This picture was taken on Chaya's wedding. From the left is Yaakov, and then my younger son Arnold. Rebecca is the oldest child, and Chaya is the Kale. She's getting married. And Sharna, next to her, is my youngest, and she is not married yet. This picture is my older son and the wife and the children, the family, the whole family.
How many grandchildren do you have, Itta?
I have 21 grandchildren. This picture is my daughter Chaya's children, and the baby is a year and a half. She is not in this picture yet. This picture is my younger son and the wife and the family.
Which son? Which son?
Arnold and the wife and the children. This picture is not so recent, but it's my daughter, the oldest daughter's children.
How old is your oldest grandson now?
Now my oldest grandson is 25 years old. This picture was our last vacation about 7 years ago. We went for the last trip into Europe. It was not easy, but I tried something.
Where is the trip? Where did you go?
I told you, I said Europe already. No, they don't have to.
Itta, you're here with 4 of your children. Do you want to introduce who's with you?
Now you tell me, give me a signal.
That's it.
It's okay? I would like to introduce my children. My oldest child is Rebecca. Next is my son, Yaakov. Yaakov. Then Arnold, Anshel, my younger son, and the youngest is Sharna. And Chaya lives in Baltimore. She couldn't be here, but we have her picture.
Would you like to speak? Who would like to speak first? Want to describe what this means to your family today?
What I did want to say was that
Not yet, wait.
yes, that I do admire my mother, and I really commend her for pulling herself together, both physically and emotionally, to share this important part of her life with you for this very important document that you're doing.